Okay, it's 7:04. We'll call to order this meeting of the Brattleboro Development Review Board. Today is October 17th, 2016. The first item on our agenda is to review and approve the minutes of our previous meeting. Take a motion on that.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of our September 19th, 2016 meeting? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. All right. Every time I have a DRB meeting, I read these opening remarks. I think everybody in this room has heard them. I'm going to try to just go through it a little more quickly because of that. If you feel like I'm being unclear, don't hesitate to ask me to explain things, but I doubt you folks will need it. At the DRB, we hear applications for land development in the town of Brattleboro and appeals of zoning administrative decisions. Procedurally, the Development Review Board operates on the record. That means we take a clear record of testimony from the applicant and any interested parties and then issue a written decision with our findings. Applicants and members of the public should be aware that since we are on the record, this is your opportunity and perhaps your only opportunity to comment on and provide evidence relating to an application. In the event our decision is appealed to the environmental court, the court will not take or consider additional testimony at its hearing, but will look at the evidence from our hearings, the regulations or whatever the applicable law is, and determine if the evidence from this hearing supports the findings and decisions that this board makes. Only interested persons that participate in this proceeding may appeal a decision made by this board, so I strongly encourage all of you to speak up at the hearing. Since we're on the record, I ask anybody who is going to say anything to take the oath to affirm that their testimony is truthful. So if you think there's even a slight chance you may be speaking, if you could please raise your right hand and I'll swear you in. Do you hereby swear that the testimony you're about to give in the cause under consideration will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Okay, let the record show that everybody in the room is now under oath. Applicants require a majority vote of the full board to succeed, which is 4 votes out of 7. Today we have 6 members. If you guys wish to ask to continue, you may ask to continue to try to get a 7th person. Sometimes our 7th, Michael, will watch the video of a hearing. And in a situation like this, you can also wait and see how things go. And if you feel like you want that 7th vote because you might not have 4, we'll consider your motion to continue without prejudice. After taking testimony, we close the public hearing and may vote on the application. We'll issue a written decision within 45 days of the close of the hearing. While we may vote on an application, it is the written decision that controls the timeline for appeal. And I'll just note, is there any chance you may speak to the application, sir? Is there any chance you might speak about this application? I'll swear you in if you change your mind down the road, okay? It should be noted that the town of Brattleboro is a party with an interest in land development applications. Today they are the applicant. The town does not have special status before this board. Documents provided to the board by the town planning department, the town attorney, or other town departments will be considered in exactly the same way as information from the applicant and all interested parties. Mr. Bannon, has our meeting been properly warned?
Yes.
And are there any conflicts or ex parte communications that people wish to disclose? So should disclose, I suppose, that since I do criminal defense, oftentimes I represent people who are adverse to the police department. However, I don't think that this concerns this application because we'll be doing that whether you're in the old building or in the new building. So where the building is really doesn't matter. And I don't view that as a conflict of interest. Anybody else? Okay. So, could you please tell us about the project?
Yes, my name is Ray Giolito. I'm architect, Northeast Collaborative Architects in Middletown, Connecticut, and we're here to seek approval for 62 Black Mountain Road, property for the new Brattleboro Police Facility. I'd like to ask Kevin Thatcher here to go through the site plan, and then I'll just show you the floor plan and building elevations briefly after that.
All right, thanks, Ray. Good. Kevin Thatcher with CHA Engineers, site engineer for the project. We're of course talking about 62 Black Mountain Road, which is currently the Brattleboro Performer Building, situated here on the southern site. The site does have a long access driveway off of Black Mountain Road, as well as a large parking area, parking along the building. It is bordered by I-91 to the west, and other commercial properties to the remaining sides. What we propose to do is to renovate the existing building within its current footprint, maintain the existing access off of Black Mountain Road, as well as pavement up to approximately this location. The remainder of the paved area, the north and west sides of the site, we would remove in order to regrade the site, as well as to make landscaping and stormwater improvements to the parking areas. Specifically, this main parking area here will be, which has been relayed to us, experiences drainage problems currently. Has a single catch basin in the middle of the parking lot, which is assumed to be some sort of infiltration structure. Don't know, haven't gotten inside of it, don't have specific plans for it. But we will remove that. We will install a new subsurface infiltration system, a pipe and stone system that is connected to new catch basins in the lot. We'll also receive stormwater pre-treatment from a subsurface oil grit separator. As a further improvement from the existing condition, during large storms, water which overwhelms the subsurface infiltration area will overflow via a pipe outlet over to the northwest corner of the building, which is where the majority of the site stormwater drains to. There's a large grassed detention area which overflows eventually to a ditch along I-91. All told, we will be reducing impervious coverage on the site by a couple thousand square feet. That in combination with the replacement properly designed stormwater system for the main parking area will result in a reduction in runoff as well as decrease in treatment for runoff. We have a parking calculation for the site, which takes into account the police station, both its employee usage as well as its office space usage. Also lease space that will maintain usage by the Brattleboro Reformer, and some future space which is currently not allocated, but we've made an assumption to its use along with back and forth with the town staff as far as the best way to estimate it for the time being. We determined a parking demand of 43 parking spaces. The plan that you see before you proposes 45 parking spaces, so there's an excess of two spaces. With that, we have parking space for 11 police cruisers. Those are excluded from the parking calculation. We've also are proposing landscaping improvements for the site in accordance with the new zoning regulations for the town as far as landscaping within and adjoining the parking lot, as well as along the street frontage. Also, at the request of the town, we're showing a piece of sidewalks construction along the frontage of the site, which will connect with another proposed project to the east to provide pedestrian access down to Putney Road. I think that sums up the main points that I wanted to point out about the site plan. I be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Tower and generator?
Ah,
And the walk, the striped walk down the driveway.
there you go. We do have in the rear of the building, we are proposing a radio antenna, which will be in a fenced area in this corner of the site, as well as generator for serving the proposed building. And as a continuation of the pedestrian access for the site and along Black Mountain Road, we are proposing a striped pedestrian area along the western side of the existing site driveway, which 4-foot wide area, which then maintains a 20-foot vehicular access as well.
Is the antenna 60 or 80 feet?
60.
60.
Okay. And that's around the minimum necessary for it to do what it needs to do, I presume?
Yes.
Can you show where the police cruisers will be parked?
Right in here.
Okay.
So 11 spaces.
And there's no island there just because it's not public, but police cruiser parking, right?
Correct. And these spaces are also larger than a standard park. They're 12 feet wide as opposed to 9 feet wide
Right.
to allow them more room to service around the vehicles.
We also need some maneuverability there for some of the trailers, crime scene vehicles, those types of things.
Now, one of the issues we're really required to deal with is the electrical vehicle charging stations. I think you said on your application it's to be determined. Do you know to some extent what the plan is?
We had discussed it in staff meeting, and I had not actually gotten a determination as to whether we were going to do it now, but our engineer is certainly able to do it. I think we came up with 2 potential vehicles,
Now,
parking spaces.
Brian, I had thought the minimum was 1 here, but there was something in the draft that suggested it was 3.
It's 1 per 20,
Yeah?
and seeing
Okay.
that the cruisers are considered not to be parking, I think we should go with 45 as the parking count.
Okay, so that would be 2?
Yep.
Okay. And what is the type minimum?
We don't have a standard for the type.
Okay. I mean, we can put a provision in there that simply requires you to designate 2 to the satisfaction of the zoning administrator, but I don't think we're
Okay.
allowed under the statute to let you off the hook for that.
Okay, that's fine, sure.
So they would be in the public parking area. Correct.
Yeah, I would propose in the main lot there.
Yeah. I would think maybe, yeah. But yes, somewhere in this parking area.
We're bringing new power out there anyway
Right.
for the new site lighting, so it's
Right,
relatively easy to do.
right. And with that, yeah, we're reconstructing the whole parking lot to, yes, include site lighting, so we could put them anywhere in that lot.
There's some chain link fence surrounding the impound area.
Mhm.
Is that all 8 feet or under?
No, it's not.
I think it's required to be 8 feet or under.
Okay.
Is that going to cause a tremendous problem?
Well, the police may have a vehicle that's larger than 8 feet. We do have razor tape along the top, barbed wire,
Mhm.
because it's a secure impound,
What was the planned height?
15. And we want to make sure that the gates have chain link above them so that nobody can,
And the reason for the reason for the 15 feet is to secure the vehicle so that no one messes with them because they're
Right.
in evidence,
their evidence,
basically?
correct, yes.
Okay. Do you have in mind what the minimum that's sufficient for that is? Is 15 the minimum that?
15
would
is
work?
typical, mainly because you typically get 2 8-foot sections of chain link and you bury 12 inches into the ground so that
Mhm.
no one can dig a hole underneath it.
Brian, the 314G, are we empowered to deviate from that?
I think this is a necessary accessory to the public safety use.
Mhm.
So even though it's not explicitly outlined, I think you do have the power to authorize anything that's necessary for the police complex.
Okay. I mean, my feeling is that we should try to minimize as much as possible the height to what's necessary.
Okay.
Even if 15 feet is customary, do you know if it's possible to get it down to some extent
I think so.
without compromising the safety?
The gates themselves need to be at least 12 feet high.
Okay.
And my advice to the police would be to have at least 3 feet of chain link above that so that we can carry the barbed wire and tape across the top of it. Could we drop it a foot? Probably, but I certainly wouldn't advise any more than that unless, by your vote, we have to do something else.
Would it be a significant hardship to drop it a foot?
No, from a cost perspective, it's going to cost the same. They'll just have to cut a foot off the chain link.
Mhm.
So we could drop it a foot if you
Would
deem that
it be
desirable.
easier to landscape it around it to make it?
Well, that's a problem too, because you want to make sure you can see if anybody's
Yeah.
walking around it, so.
I was just thinking to the interstate, that's all.
Oh, I see. Well, that's also a spot. We have a camera on top of on the southeast corner of the impound lot, but nothing surveilling the west side against the interstate. And the existing site, painting on the existing site, you have a survey here?
Yep.
As you can see, goes over the property line, so we're bringing that back, and we're only back from the property line about
5 feet.
10 feet.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's a sensitive spot really for, again, as the chairman mentioned, it's evidence.
Yeah.
You make me sound like a North Korean dictator.
Oh, I'm sorry. For the record, you're
No,
not.
it's okay. I mean, I know I'm not. The lack of there being a sign in the application is intentional, and you understand that you'd have to come back for that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
Because we will also be moving the sign for the tenant as well, and we have to.
What is the plan to maintain the stormwater system to keep the sediment from clogging it up?
As far as there is a subsurface oil grit separator to help extend the life of the infiltration system. With that, there would still be a maintenance requirement for removing grit from that.
How often does that have to happen, ballpark?
It depends on the usage, how much sand they put down in the wintertime. It's the type of thing you would at least inspect it every 6 months initially, and then depending on how much sediment is observed to accumulate,
Okay.
you could either maintain that or stretch out inspection.
You fellows are from Maine, right?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, okay, so that's fine. I just wanted to be, make sure you understand how much sand and stuff was.
Oh, yes.
Salt.
Yeah, right.
And you're going to push the snow onto those grassy areas, right?
From this
And up next to the
yes,
building.
for the identified snow storage
Right.
out here. Yeah, and this is a large grass area.
And then from the police area, it'll go
Yep.
down there.
Along the
Yeah.
edges. This is wooded, but it's mostly large specimen trees without much understory, so there's ability to pile snow along that edge as well.
Nice to see that in the plan, by
Yeah.
the way. You never see it.
Yeah.
There are 7 extra, at least according to this plan, of parking spaces. Are those for when public come? Right here?
These 7 spaces?
Yeah,
I believe will be, these are,
Which ones?
they're not
These-
police though, there's no P on them, so
they'll be staff parking
staff parking,
for
okay.
their personal vehicles. 'Cause they're also, there are two signs here which identify this as a restricted area.
Okay.
So they're behind that.
Okay.
Now, there was a suggestion actually in our draft order that I thought was kind of interesting, to put conduit out by the 11 parking spaces for the cruiser, in case someday the cruisers are electrified. Is that something that is unduly burdensome, or you think unreasonable, or just imprudent?
Well, we will have electrical power out there to site lighting,
We have site lighting along
Um,
that.
so we could always grab it from there if need be in the future.
Okay,
There are three lights along the north side of
all right,
that lot.
okay.
Is the impound unit going to be lit at night?
Only, I believe there's a,
You have the light.
the nearest, yeah, there is a light just on the north side of it that'll shed a fair amount of light on it. I have the photometrics in my bag here, but the spill off to the west is negligible, so at night, I don't think it'll be an issue seeing the impound lot from 91.
I only ask this because of curiosity. What's going to happen to all the old printing press stuff?
That's all, well, it's all going to Pittsfield, Mass.
Ah, Cool.
What, how are the sidewalks designed? Are they raised, or are they painted, or how do you delineate where the sidewalks are?
Sidewalk that we're proposing along Black Mountain Road will be at grade with the road, with a small grass strip between that and the road. The walk along the existing drive will be painted. It's existing asphalt surface, and beyond that, this existing sidewalk here, and we're proposing sidewalk along this portion of the building.
Yeah, I'm just thinking along the road coming in, it'll be like yellow striping.
Mhm.
And I got just a question of curiosity too.
Sure.
When you get a pipe that you don't know where it's coming from, how deeply do you investigate that sort of thing?
It depends.
It's always curious when there's a pipe you don't know.
Depends on what kind of pipe it is, how
Well,
big it is.
6-inch plastic.
I mean, a 6-inch plastic is likely a newer construction, and so there's more likely a plan that's recoverable associated with it. And also, with it being a 6-inch plastic, is likely some sort of small drainage pipe, or potentially a sanitary sewer pipe, or sanitary sewer. Might try to investigate dye testing from nearby buildings.
Have you tried that with this one?
For which,
There's a couple 6-inch pipes.
oh, these over,
Yeah.
Yeah,
those I are a overflow associated with the stormwater for the site.
oh,
This whole side, actually wrapping around even over here, is a large depression. And most of the stormwater from the site simply flows into here, infiltrates in here. And if we were to have a large enough storm event, overflows in this vicinity to I-91, there's a little break in the berm which heads into the ditch on the east side of I-91 adjacent to the site.
so that's a bit of construction to take runoff off the property.
Well, this is not new construction. This is just existing. We'll have a new pipe to here,
Right.
which outlets water, which will be exposed to, or in conjunction with continued surface flow to this area. So most of the time, this will simply pond and infiltrate here if there gets enough water it will flow this way towards I-91. You see this break in how the contours here point
Yeah.
towards the property line.
So Brian, do we have any control over that since it's been there?
Because they're not actually increasing the amount of impervious surface, there's no stormwater requirement for the project, so
Okay.
no.
Further questions from the board? Are there any comments by members of the public? Okay. Who's going to show us something?
The inside?
Oh,
Take a look at the building.
Sorry, forgot that. I can do that quickly. Oh, I know you mentioned the color, so I'll show you. North is up, parking lot up here. The existing vestibule will remain, administrative areas, support spaces, cell block, selling port, detectives, lockers, the new dispatch center. There's a 2,200 square foot tenant space in the southeast corner that'll be taken by the Brattleboro Reformer. The balance of the two spaces are for town use in the future. And Kevin already mentioned the tower and the generator here. From the outside, we're really affecting only the north and east facade of the building, where we'll be adding some new windows in the front. There's a berm now that comes up fairly high, and one of my first comments to the chief was that I didn't think he'd want somebody getting on that and getting on the roof, so we're dropping the grade down, which will expose the foundation, so we're adding some new 2-inch split-faced concrete block here. This is an existing canopy. Underneath it, we're constructing 2 storage rooms, the same concrete block, a few more windows on this side. Now that we've got the tenant space door will be here, and we'll be coming back for approval for the sign for the police department, which is their shoulder badge on an aluminum sign, and then the Brattleboro Reformer sign, which is here, will be moved down to their space. We're going to try to save that sign and just move it down the side of the
But do you know the origin of the term Sallyport?
Oh, gosh, I did.
I'm not sure. I remember it's something medieval. But
Yeah, I know, but I don't remember now.
that's all right.
Put me on the spot.
Well, I like to test
After
it.
30 years of prison, the sign, I don't remember. So,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Does the board have further oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Are you going to have off-site signage?
Yes, the town, that was part of discussion during town staff and with the building committee. There'll be a sign on Putney Road and just pointing to police, and then at some point in the future, it depends on how the project budget goes, there may be a monument sign, which of course would be another application to direct people into the site off Black Mountain Road.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Other questions from the board? Any further comment from the public? Okay, I have in my notes.
James?
That one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. If you could identify yourself, I know you, but we're on TV.
I'm Peter Rowell, I'm the town manager, and I just wanted to amplify on the signage reply. So because of the location of the site, we'll have small signs out at Putney Road. It'll be just those informational directional signs as opposed to anything that looks more designed than that. It'll look like a highway sign, but it'll point people in the right direction. That'll be for the police station. And then as you get to the entrance on Black Mountain Road, Ray's answer was correct, but if we don't find that we have enough money in the project budget to do a monument sign at this time, then we would do at least a small additional informational sign there in the police station with an arrow pointing into the driveway. We also, I've talked with the reformer about allowing them a similar small sign out at the roadway at Black Mountain Road so that people know that that's the driveway that to enter into still for the reformer. And then you see in the rendering the police patch for the signage on the building at the main entrance to the building. The intent for the tenant is to have that lettering that's already on the building remain on the building over their entrance, which will be on that same facade where that lettering already is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay, so I have in my notes that the application be approved with conditions set forth in the draft decision, plus a condition that the chain link fences around the impound area can be at a maximum height of 14 feet. That 2 EV charging stations will be designated and submitted to the zoning administrator for approval, and that there be inspections of the stormwater elements every 6 months. That's all I've got. Anything from my fellow members? Does that all sound all right?
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
So with those conditions, I suggest we have a motion to approve application 2016-154.
I so move.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Glad not to keep you to midnight this time,
Yes, much appreciated.
Thank you.
and you as well.
Good night.
So let's just spend 1 minute before we adjourn on administrative matters. At our last meeting, I indicated that I would contact Mr. Bushy to determine what his intentions are with this board going forward. I completely forgot, and am sorry to tell the rest of the board that I don't have a report.
I can give you one.
You can?
I talked to his son.
Okay.
He's going back west.
Sam.
Yeah, he'll be staying back. He was back east about a week ago.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're pretty sure Mr. Bushy does not intend to return to service on the board?
yeah.
All right. I think we already took the motion to remove him, right? Am I incorrect?
I can't recall what the motion
No,
was.
I don't
I
know if
don't
it was
think we did.
removed.
Our motion was, I believe, that we could vote to remove somebody if they missed 3 consecutive meetings.
Right.
Well, I'm probably wrong. I thought we moved to say, to ask the select board to remove him to open up the seat, and then we changed the rules. But assuming I'm wrong, I'd suggest we simply move
Remember that.
to submit a joint request to the select board, since we've heard that Mr. Bushy's not returning, to remove him from that seat. No hard feelings, but simply so that if somebody wants to be a regular, or if one of our alternates can become a regular, that they can do so. So moved? Okay.
Second?
All right, any further discussion?
And in the request to the select board, if we can get the information on how many meetings he's actually missed, that would be good to include
Yeah.
that with the request.
I mean, I'd prefer to just say he has left and gone west, because Joe was such a,
Yeah.
he was a very good, loyal,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was.
well-serving member. I don't want to give the impression on the record that he was.
Plus, he's
Okay.
moving across country. Was he gonna do it by phone?
I'd just say he left the area, and he's not been in
Yeah.
a meeting in, I don't know, 8 or 9 months because he moved. If we could just couch it in those terms, I'd feel a little more comfortable.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And before we finish up, I suggest we move to have a resolution thanking Mr. Bushy for at least a decade of service, officially in our minutes, because I think this is going to be the end of him on the DRB for at least the near future, although I wouldn't be surprised if he returns to the DRB
Someday, yes.
Well, he's still got the house, doesn't he?
He's still got the house, he's still got an abiding interest in the history of Brattleboro and its buildings and its people. And I wish there were more people who had those interests. So if someone would make that motion, I think we ought to put that in the record as well.
I make a motion, we thank Joe for his 10 years or whatever.
10 years
Whatever it was.
plus.
At
10
least.
plus, yes.
Yes.
Interest in Brattleboro and the DRB and
Okay,
thanking him.
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Brian, I wonder if you could print something out that I could sign and we could send out to Joe.
Yep.
Simply indicating that this board on this date passed a resolution thanking you for your service and wishing you well, you know,
Sounds good.
a nice little small town message.
Excellent.
So that is the end of my administrative business, unless you folks have some.
Are we still working on continuing education?
You know, we sort of let that slide, but I think that we should. The person who did the continuing education, his partner just died. And that leaves him to run his law firm. The partner was the guy who did the operations of the business. And although he's a very generous and hardworking guy, it might be a little bit of an imposition for him to do it. But he's not the only person who could do that type of education. Do you remember what the next thing we had talked about was?
We had talked about conditional uses, we had talked about the Kishi rule, Keichi, whatever it's called.
Is there anybody else that could get into that with us?
I'll discuss it with Sue. I think the municipal assistants
Okay.
might be able to help us out.
I mean, the way that Larry did it with the case summaries was really great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If somebody could put together a little table like this having to do with the Koichi or whatever else,
Mhm.
I think that that's just a really simple way to get us squared. And it's something we could go back to if we need it.
Mhm.
Do people on the board feel similarly?
I agree.
Yeah,
All right.
that was really good training.
Yeah, well, Larry's a heck of a good lawyer. Okay,
I move we adjourn.
Second.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 40 minutes.